I'm starting off this screencast just by clarifying a few things. First, I have not yet started on any user interface work. However, I did a complete overhaul and have the database from which I'll be drawing all of my information from completely finished. Second, I set out in this sprint just to do all of the necessary back-end development that'll set me up in this next sprint to do all of the front-end development. I used the database manager SQLite and imported all of my data from an Excel sheet where I was able to easily edit it. The names, first, middle, and last, were all randomized, and gender was assigned based off of the first names. All of the above data, first, middle, last names, and gender, were all created using the webpage Mockaroo. This webpage randomized all of that data and exported it as an Excel sheet. The PSU ID was something that I set up through Excel by taking the first, middle, and last initials of each name and using a Visual Basic script and adding an increasing number from 1, 2, 3, 4 to the end of it. The ranks of each member are taken from one of our attendance blocks, so all of the rank numbers are exact. The section obviously corresponds to the section within the rank. Year and band is a randomized number designed to give an even distribution across all of the sections. The last 5 columns of my data are designed to grant permissions later on down the development road when I start getting into administrator privileges and editing data. However, the amount of people in those positions is fairly accurate regarding how many people will have access to that information. Due to the fact that Penn State does not use duplicate PSU ID numbers, I will be using the PSU ID as my primary key and foreign key later in the application when I link things up, such as gig signups and my algorithm for picking students for them. Through NetBeans, I made a lot of headway as far as linking up my database with the application, and I now have the ability to open the database application, add users, delete users, and when I'm done, close the connection to the database. As far as the functions, I made the database local, so that is done with just a link that can be found to my local drive. When the connection has been made, it prints out the driver name and the database that it has been connected to. I had it print out all of the records that is stored in the database right to the command line as well, just to show you that I can. Creating a new user is also fairly simple. This will eventually be done with the information passed through a form, but all of the columns in the database will be filled using that form. To create the SQL statement in Java, I used prepared statements to set up all the required variables, which can then be added into the statement and executed. When a student has been added, it prints to the command line. To delete the user, all that's required is another prepared statement with only the user's PSU ID that will be deleted. The PSU ID will be very powerful into assigning functions throughout this application. Lastly, closing the database is essential to make sure that this does not open multiple instances of the database at the same time, in which case it'll actually end up crashing the program. Other than the database functions, I mapped out all of the required variables for making student objects, as well as the main class that handles calling all of the functions for this quick demo. I have not yet added the setters and getters into the student object class, but they'll be added as soon as I find out which information I'll need to get within the application. That'll be done more towards when I start the front end. Upcoming, I'll be starting on the UI and the attendance taking responsibilities. Now that I have the database set up, that'll leave a very smooth development process ahead, as I have a lot of experience working in the databases, and I'm looking forward to what functions I'll be able to create with this app down the line.